I can. Can you hear me?
Yep.
We'll begin the meeting in 1 minute. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening. Welcome to the December 8th session of your Brookings City Council. As City Clerk, record attendance.
Mayor and council members, as we are not all in the same location this evening, please respond with present when I call your name. Bacon,
Present.
Frank,
Present.
Corbett,
Present.
Niemeyer,
Present.
Tilton Burn,
Present.
Wendell.
Present.
Councilmember Collins is absent this evening.
Okay, thank you. Council, first item is the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Public comment? Please call the roll.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
The consent agenda is approved. There are no items removed from the consent agenda at this time. The open forum. Any member of the public may request time on the agenda for an item that's not, or to address the council for an item that's not on the agenda, or it's going to be brought up in our meeting after a while. Anybody have anything they'd like to speak to at this time?
Good evening. Bradley Walker, resident of Brookings. Tonight, my comments are about your social media posts and updates. Why do you think that you can tell people how to live their Halloween? Don't trick or treat. But then I was at the Parade of Lights the other day, and there were people handing out candy at the city-sanctioned event. So it's okay for you to do it, but not us ordinary citizens, but us ordinary citizens shouldn't? Then you told us how to celebrate Thanksgiving. Do it on Zoom so you don't have unnecessary family gatherings. Family time is essential for good health. You can't smell Aunt Martha's pumpkin pie coming out of the oven in a Zoom meeting. You can't taste Grandma's green beans and stuffing on a Zoom meeting. And now you tell us not to celebrate Christmas with anyone outside your own four walls. What's next for New Year's? Are you going to hand out beer goggles so you can get virtually intoxicated? People have the right to make their own decisions and not be influenced by what you think is okay or not okay. And do you even read the comments on your posts? If you did, you would see the division your policies have created in our community. Your posts on November 24th and November 30th are two examples. If you haven't already viewed them, please get caught up. And this came after a week-long campaign by you stressing kindness in the middle of a week-long campaign in the middle of November telling everyone to be kind. I believe the money that you spend creating these posts could be better spent some other way. Maybe have a weekly random drawing for a cash reward to one of the suffering small businesses that have been hurt by your policies. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else care to speak to the council? Seeing none, I'll close the public forum. Presentations. First one's a proclamation. Al Houghton. Mr. Houghton was unable to join us tonight, but I think it's important to read the proclamation because he's done so much for Brookings and the whole area, and it's important we recognize him and proclamation to him on December 16th. So, whereas Al Houghton retires this month after 15 years of visionary and devoted service as the executive director of the Brookings Economic Development Corporation, and whereas Al's strategic recruitment and expansion of businesses has resulted in the creation of over 1,000 new jobs and capital investments exceeding $100 million, and whereas Al is directly responsible for bringing in over $24 million in grant dollars for the Brookings region. Whereas Brookings has seen tremendous growth during Al's tenure, including the population increase of 26% and an ongoing economic impact from his work of more than $100 million annually. Whereas Brookings has garnered significant national recognition for economic success during Al's tenure, including being named number 16 best performing micropolitan in the country by Polycom in 2020, a national micropolitan success story by the Walton Family Foundation in 2018, and one of only 11 communities chosen for a case study for positive economic transformation for the state of Indiana in 2014. Now, therefore, I, Keith Corbett, Mayor of the City of Brookings, South Dakota, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, December 16th, 2020, as Al Houghton Day. As I said, I will be presenting this to him hopefully on the 16th. Please send an email or congratulations card to him. He's done so very, very much for our area. So, next, City Engineer Jackie Lanning's got a wonderful report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council and audience at home. Tonight, I'd like to give an update on our 20th Street South Build grant project. Alrighty, you seem to be out of order. The first slide is not the correct one, but anyway, I apologize about of where we are so far. In September and October, we released the draft EA on our public online meeting, and hopefully everybody had a chance to watch the pre-recorded presentation on describing the draft EA. And then here in November, we did meet with landowners to go over the access to their properties and what the recommended layout would look like. And then just this week, we've been meeting with utility companies to determine all the utility conflicts that we have on our project. And so here in December, we're giving the 60% cost update. In the EA, the draft EA, this is option number 5, which is recommended in that document. And as you can see, we'll have typical ramps on the east side of the interstate, and then a cloverleaf on the southwest quadrant. And this interchange will look much like the Flying J interchange down on I-29 near Sioux Falls. One item that we're working on with this project is the streetlight layout. And so this project, just due to the budget constraints and really wanted to staying on time and on budget, and for simplicity's sake, we are going with just standard lighting system. So we will have our steel cobra head lights. They'll be 30 feet tall with an 8-foot arm. They will be LED, and they'll be much like what is shown here in this picture. And these are the lights that are on the west end of 6th Street. So very typical highway lighting. And then we're proposing for the city to provide the power to all the street lights on this system, even on the interchange and off-ramps. Typically, the municipality will provide power. It's not something that's provided by the DOT or federal highway. And we do have a statute listed there that does give us the authority to provide that power. For our cost update, we had the 30% shown to you at the last meeting. And so many of the costs that are shown here are still the same as they were on the 30% meeting. For our design and right-of-way and DOT and utility relocation costs, those are still sitting the same at the 2.8 million. So I'm following the row across this first item here, 2.8 million. Our wetland mitigation, we're still working through those cost figures, and we would be purchasing wetland mitigation through the wetland bank, and the dollar amount hasn't been determined yet. So that budget is still the same, $186,000. The DOT construction administration is 1.6 million. That number hasn't changed either from our earlier discussions with DOT. And so the number we're presenting tonight for the 60% estimate is the 18.35 million. And as I updated the group before, we will have asphalt pavement, so that's been decided by the DOT Geotechnical Office that we would have asphalt pavement on this project. So the 18.35 million is our current estimate for the construction. And then that concludes the total of 22.9 million, and then our grant application was 23.3 million. So a little bit of a cushion there on the 60% cost estimate. Sorry, I'm a little bit winded here when you talk through continuously. Are there any questions on the 60% estimate? Okay. Our next steps is that we're compiling all the comments that were posted to our website, and then we'll be posting the comments and the responses right on the website, and then that will be incorporated into the final EA document. And so we'll submit that for approval, and then we're submitting it for a finding of no significant impact, and that's called a FONSI. So that will be the ultimate sign-off of the environmental assessment. And then the other next steps that we'll be responding to landowners on their questions, driveway access, and those types of questions that they've had. And then we'll be continuing the design, going into our 90% cost estimate in approximately February of 2021. So it's a very fast timeline that we're still proceeding with. And so at this time, the project's still meeting the grant schedule, and we're still on budget. Are there any other questions?
Councilman Wendell?
Jackie, on the map alternate 5 recommended in EA. I notice in the two connected intersections, they're outlined with a note that says intersection improvements are independent of the interchange alternatives. What does that note mean? And does it mean there will be improvements or changes coming to those intersections separate from this project?
Yes, at the time this was posted to the website, those intersection improvements, they will be constructed with this project. So either what that note means is no matter what the roadway itself looked like between 22nd and 34th, the intersections themselves would look the same no matter what option you chose. So there are turn lanes that are within the project, and in fact, there's, for example, on 22nd Avenue, a northbound right turn lane onto 20th. Each of the intersections they all have a center turn lane, and I believe westbound also has a right turn lane onto 22nd Avenue. So those turn lanes are established based on the interstate justification report, but they don't change depending on which alternate was chosen.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all I have for your update then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I think the great and on time, a lot of work thanks to Jackie and the team she's got working on that. It's a great project. So, okay, well, we might as well continue into contracts and change orders, and city engineer will discuss resolution 20-101.
Okay, this resolution authorizes change order number 1, which is a final 20-08 STI, or street maintenance and overlay project with Bose Construction. The final cost of the project was $817,201.60, which is an increase change order price of $34,630.57 from the original bid. The increase was due to some increased paving with thicker pavement on 2nd Street near the street department, and also some increased dig-outs in other areas. And this resolution will approve the change order increase, and staff recommends approval of the resolution as presented.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, council comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye. Okay, resolution 20-101 is approved. Next, our Park and Rec Director, Dusty Rodick.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Resolution 20-102 is a resolution approving the art installation contract for the Bob Sheldon Art Project. This item was brought to you last week, and this is just the approval of the contract. And staff would recommend approval on this.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion to approve resolution 20-102.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none. Any council comments or questions? Okay, please call roll.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye. All right, this is great. So
Thank you.
we can get started on that one. That's great. Okay, I have Community Development Director Mike Struck.
Good evening, Mayor, and council members. Resolution 20-013 is a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a lease agreement with the Brookings Backpack Program. The Brookings Backpack Program has a lease currently with the city that will be expiring at the end of this year, and they are wishing to extend that out. One of the changes with this particular lease agreement is they are proposing to move to a different office suite location within the Research and Technology Center. It's near the north entrance door. It works a little bit better with their volunteers who they drop off supplies throughout the day, and so that space is currently vacant. The previous lease agreement, as they are a nonprofit, kind of a community partner, we did not charge them rent, but they do pay the utilities. And so whether there's someone occupying those spaces or not, the city still has to maintain a pretty consistent heat source throughout the building because we do have a fire suppression system in there and need to make sure that that does not freeze. So in exchange for them paying the utility bill, that's less cost to the city. And so at this point in time, the staff would recommend approval of the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I will take that as a motion in a second. Any public comment? Council comments?
Mr. Just one quick question. Do we have an approximate understanding of how long they might use the space? I know it's a month to month.
They would like it for as long as the city will make it available to them. They had to relocate from a previous location that they were also receiving free rent. It just that particular private individual ended up finding a tenant that was willing to pay. We have space. We did put in there, it could not extend beyond 2 years without coming back for approval, but it's a month to month. And then we just need to provide ample notice if we would decide to do something different with the building or somebody would be interested in leasing the space, we'd give them proper notice.
Are there any other tenants right now in city-owned facilities that have that similar type of lease for similar types of reasons? Just trying to understand the precedents.
No one in this particular facility. I'm not aware of.
Probably the
Food pantry?
food
maybe?
pantry, maybe the art council. I'm not sure what the relationship there is. I think they might pay for the utilities and other items. And then I'd have to go back and look at the community center, the food program out of there, the ICAP program. They utilize that facility as well. But I'm not sure on the I wish Dusty was still here. I think he just left. On the makeup there for that relationship, but we sure get that to you.
I do know with the food pantry, that is a city-owned facility, and we do not charge them rent, and I do believe they pay the utilities there.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions? Please call the roll.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Okay, resolution 20-103 is approved. And Mr. Struck will continue.
Thank you. Resolution 20-014 is a resolution to authorize the city to enter into a lease agreement with Rural Technologies Incorporated. They are a tenant that is in the south end of the building, and their lease is set to currently expire on the 31st of this month. Unit 1 on the screen is their main portion of their office. Unit 3 they rent at a lower rate of $4 a square foot. Unit 2, they're actually proposing to add that space. They're currently in the space just directly south of there. And so I think there's a net increase of about 400 square feet. They just want to move their operations all to be as close as possible to one another. We're proposing that the lease rate continues at $10 a square foot for units 1 and 2, and $4 a square foot for the unfinished garage space. In unit 3, they are responsible for all utilities, and it would be on a month-to-month basis, but could not extend beyond 2 years unless it were to come back to the city council for an extension. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, I don't see anybody at this time, so entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Public comment on this? Council comments?
Mr.
Councilman
Mayor?
Niemeyer?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
So, Mike, it has nothing to do with this lease or not, but what kind of, are we looking at some long-term expenses to keep this building intact? Because I know it's over 20 years old. I mean, I know that there's some HVAC issues out there. I know we've been putting Band-Aids on them.
That's probably the most significant is the HVAC system. We've been We currently have at least 3 units right now that need to get repaired, that affect the north end of the building, wouldn't affect the space that RTI is in.
Councilmember Brink?
I just wanted to understand the other tenant makeup of this building. Are these the only 2 tenants that will be in there?
That is correct. The rest of the building is vacant.
Okay.
To give you an example, RTI has approximately half the square footage of the building.
Yep.
And then the space that the backpack program would occupy is just over 2,000 square feet. We do have a small break room in there and then a conference room that's available. And then there's probably about 3 or 4 office suites of varying sizes that would be available.
Anyone else? Please call the roll.
Bacon,
I,
Brink,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell.
Aye.
Okay, Resolution 20-104 is approved. We'll go into first readings, and on first readings, no vote is taken at this time, but we do allow public input and council discussion also. So turn it over to the city manager for discussion of this.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. The current ordinance for the mask mandate and the occupancy is set to expire the end of December. Tonight, council will hold the first hearing to extend the current mask mandate and occupancy regulations. December 15th, the second hearing will be held. If approved, the existing ordinance will be in place for another 60 days. The current regulation requires 50% occupancy in restaurants, bars, groceries, casinos, and gyms. Restaurants and bars, there's a requirement for 6 feet between groups of 10 or more, and employees at restaurants, bars, grocery stores, salons, barbers are required to wear face coverings. When social distancing cannot be achieved at all indoor businesses or indoor places, face coverings are required. There are a number of exceptions noted within this ordinance. I would note at next week's meeting, within the public hearing portion, we will have SDSU, Avera, Sanford, and others to give the council and the public an update of current conditions.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment on ordinance 20-029er?
Bill Alsaker, Brookings, 306 11th Street. I just wanted to thank the council for keeping a consistent message, and I watched Bonnie Spector's video today, so for the city staff and city council who are pushing keep going on a pro-mask message and a message that reflects the scientific consensus. I do appreciate that. I know you guys are in a tough position where, if you listen to the experts, it really isn't safe to go to bars and restaurants, but you aren't given the funds to keep them afloat, so doing the best you can there. So thanks for that, and thanks for keeping a good message and keep pushing that through social media and things like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak to this?
Hello again, Bradley Walker, resident of Brookings. I am here to voice my opposition to extending the current ordinance and mask mandate. Our city has been forced to abide by your arbitrary decisions for 9 months, and things have not improved, especially since the mask mandate was enacted. Businesses continue to suffer, and division among citizens in the community is increasing. The mask mandate has done nothing to slow the spread of the virus. In fact, as has been noted here before, cases continue to increase. October 1st, 104 active cases. November 30th, 471. One of your claims is that we need the mask mandate to protect our healthcare workers from being overwhelmed. I would argue that the Brookings healthcare system has never been overwhelmed. I would argue that there is no healthcare crisis in Brookings community. By your own data, there have never been more than 4 hospital admissions in one day. The 7-day running average is less than 2 per day. Out of the 90 hospitalizations that have occurred, 82 of them have occurred after the mask mandate. of the 20 deaths in Brookings County, all but one occurred after the mask mandate. So by your own data, cases, hospitalizations, and deaths have all increased since the mask mandate was enacted. Now, speaking of a healthcare crisis, a healthcare crisis is not 4 people going into the hospital a day, at the most. A healthcare crisis would be if there was a bus traveling from Fargo down to Branson full of 50 or 60 people to see a Reza illusionist show in January, and they slipped on a piece of ice and crashed into the abutment of exit 132, resulting in multiple casualties and or deaths, that would be a healthcare crisis. That would overwhelm the Brookings healthcare system. Not cases trickling in, trickling out. Healthcare is just like any other place. Yes, you're going to have peak times, and yes, you're going to have slack times. It's just like is it a crisis when you go to Perkins for Sunday brunch and you have to wait a half an hour to get a table because it's crowded? No, that's not a crisis. It's an everyday occurrence. The facts say that your policies aren't working. So why should we continue them? Since we are approaching Christmas and are in the season of giving, why don't you give the citizens of Brookings the gift that keeps on giving? Rescind the ordinance or allow it to expire and let our community return to normal. Now, Mr. Wendell made a comment on the national news that Brookings had made mask wearing normal. Mask wearing is not normal. Playing sporting events in front of empty stadiums is not normal. Playing sporting events in front of cardboard cutouts sit in seats is not normal. I watched a TV show, America's Funniest Home Videos. Instead of having a live audience, they had a bank of television screens with individuals on it. That is not normal. So you keep pushing, and now I read something today where the CDC said that even after the vaccine, masks are still going to be required. That is not normal. You're trying to turn our society into a faceless bunch of zombies, for lack of a better term. There's no individuality. If I saw you walking down the street, I wouldn't know who you were. If somebody says, hey, I don't know who they are because I can't see their face. They're just nobodies. They're just not individuals. Every person I can't tell if a person is happy or sad behind their blank stare at a mask. People need to get their lives back to where it was before. There is no new normal. There is a normal where we should return to. Wearing masks is not normal. You are entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to force your opinion on others. Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak to ordinance 20-029er?
Good evening. My name is Russ Woodhelm. I'm a resident of Brookings. I'm also an economist for a healthcare firm that specializes in respiratory diseases. And I'm just going to throw out some facts that I have come by in my research. Number one, masks do not stop a virus. Now, this is controversial. You've heard that they stop a virus, they don't. In 2019, a meta-analysis of published papers on masks stopping a virus, all the papers agreed that masks do not work to stop a virus. The virus is too small, it goes right through. The second one, the study was done last summer. CDC released the results in September. They found that 85% of people who always or often wore a mask got COVID. 3.9% who never masked got COVID. Even more recently, a Danish study released last month. They studied 6,000 people, split them up into two groups. One wore masks, the other did not. They actually found that the masks made no difference in infection rates. The CDC in May 2020 said there is limited evidence for the effectiveness of masks in preventing virus transmission when worn by either an infected person or uninfected persons. That's from the CDC in May. The WHO came out, I believe it was in August, and said asymptomatic people are not spreading the virus. It's on their website. You can do a Google search, you can find it. So that's just some of the recent reasons why. There is a reason why I don't wear one. I'm not going to disclose that reason in public. Number two, I looked at the metrics that you guys are using. RT is pretty much standard, and you said in the last 2 weeks it's been below 1, which is good. Hospital capacity is good. For now, they're currently, according to the Department of Health today, 2 people in Brookings are hospitalized with COVID. The problem I have is with the third one, that public health threshold one, surveillance threshold, because I didn't write it down, but you changed your metric. You said, this is what we would look at, but we can't because this information we don't have available to us. Well, the problem is you're looking at positive testing, and some people are being tested multiple times, and they're being multiple positive, even though there's one person with COVID. The second problem is, if you look in the paper, Brookings Health System gives you some guidelines, triage guidelines. Asymptomatic people are not being tested according to those guidelines, which means that you're overstating the positive percentage. All right? Let's see. And I looked through the ordinance, and one thing I noticed is that much of the ordinance places the burden on businesses. Okay, individuals have to wear masks, but what you're doing is 2 things. You're increasing their costs because they have to pay for the masks, they have to do more cleaning than they normally would, and you're reducing the revenue at the same time by decreasing their capacity to 50%. The fact is, let's just look at one industry. The restaurant industry, profit margin, normal profit margin in that industry is 3 to 5%, which means you go out with your family, you spend $100, they make $3 to $5. All right? What happens is you reduce their capacity and increase their costs. All of a sudden, you've seen it. Okay? Kelsey Doom came up. Chamber of Commerce says these businesses are struggling. And the reason why they're struggling is those reduced profit margins. I understand you want to keep people safe. You don't want people getting COVID. That's a whole other thing I'm not going to bore you with tonight because I could go on for hours. I've done so much research on this. But the problem is that a business may actually need to get $90 in the door before they start seeing any profit. It depends on where their break-even point is. Okay, and the gift card give back program was a great idea. But how many times are you going to be able to do that to keep these businesses open? Okay, just something to consider when you're determining these restrictions. And then finally, one thing I noticed was doesn't seem to be anything. It says there will be enforcement fines. I'd like to know what the fines are going to be. Are they going to be tiered, first violation so much, and then bump it up from there? There's no way to know right now. It's not in the ordinance. And basically what you're doing is putting everyone on double secret probation. We don't know when someone's going to come and enforce it, what's going to happen. So that's just, to me, that's a flaw that you might want to look at before next week. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak to this? Council members, anybody want to speak to it? Or how about Councilmember Bacon or Tilton Burn? Don't want to forget you out there. Okay, we'll have second reading on December 15th. Now moving into public hearings and second readings. City Clerk to speak to number 8A.
Mayor, public council members, A temporary alcohol application has been received from St. Thomas More Catholic School for their annual Winter Gala and Grand Auction. This is a fundraising event which will be held on February 6th at the church's location. This event will be entirely virtual. The only time the public will go to the church is to get their purchased items. A public hearing and council action is required on all temporary alcohol applications. This application has been reviewed by City Attorney Steve Brightsman. Staff does recommend approval. We do have a representative of the event on Zoom if you have any questions for them.
Okay, thank you. This time I'd open public hearing. Anyone care to speak to this? I think we've done this a number of years now, so. Okay, close public hearing. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Council, comments or questions? Okay, please call a roll.
Brink,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Okay, temporary alcohol license for St. Thomas More is approved. City engineers up here
You.
already to talk about resolution 20-105.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and City Council and audience at home. This is a public hearing and action on a resolution to lease property to Lyle Boothie in Section 21, Township 110 North, Range 50 West, which is located west of the Brookings Airport. The City Council awarded a contract to Lyle Boothie to lease 85 acres of hayland in this section for the bid price of $111 per acre. This resolution is required by statute to allow us to enter into a contract with Lyle Boothie, and staff recommends approval of the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Open the public hearing. Anyone care to speak to this? Okay, close public hearing. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Council comments or questions? Please call a roll.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Resolution 20-105 is approved. And continuing on.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 20-106 is a resolution of intent to lease real property to Lyle Boothie in Section 11, Township 109 North, Range 50 West, which is a parcel the city owns west of, or near Main Avenue South and 32nd Street South. The city awarded a contract to Lyle Boothie to lease 18 acres of hayland in this section for the bid price of $52.50 an acre. And this resolution is required by state statute to enter into a lease agreement with Lyle Boothie. And this would be a two-year agreement with 2 additional one-year terms if agreeable to all the parties. And the staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. Or any public comment on this one? Seeing none, close public comment. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Council comments or questions? Please call a roll.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Corbett.
Aye. Continuing on.
Okay, and this final resolution, 20-0107, a resolution of intent to lease real property again to Lyle Boothie in the Weiss and Freeland editions. The city awarded a contract to Lyle Boothie for, this is cropland, 10 acres and then 30 acres in the Weiss edition. The bid price was $170 per acre. And this will be a one-year contract with an option to renew for 1 additional year, which gives us the option in the event that we sell property in this area. Staff recommends approval of the resolution.
Yeah, thank you. Speak to this? Seeing none, close public comment. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Council comments or questions? Please call a roll.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye.
Okay, resolution's approved. Thank you, Jackie. Now we'll move into other business, and I'll turn it over to City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. Annually, the City Council approves the agreement with the City Attorney for legal services. The attached agreement is consistent with the 2020 Legal Services Agreement. The only substantial change is the added language for an Assistant City Attorney. The language was crafted to ensure proper succession planning and continuity of business in the absence of the city attorney. The agreement does include a 2% increase, and staff recommends approval of the proposed agreement.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, council comments or questions? Please call a roll. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Brink.
I did have one question. I noticed just reading through this in the scope of duties that our city attorney has. You provide a monthly report to our city manager of the work that you do. And I was reflecting on that recently. You know, we did your eval and we had some discussions about that. And one of the things that struck me is I don't always know exactly how your performance has been in relation to those goals. And I just wonder if there are elements of that report that could be shared with council so we would have a better understanding of how that is going throughout the year. And that could be something we think about or table or discuss another time, but it was just an idea that I had.
Anyone want to care to speak to that, or?
Yeah, I do prepare that report. The components are prepared on a daily basis, and then they're compiled and provided to Paul. It pretty much summarizes a daily activity. It's not broken down according to projects, but I think it kind of gives a fairly good flavor of each of the tasks that I'm, performing. And I'd have no objection to providing, that report if that would be helpful, or to reformat it into a project type analysis of the work that's performed.
Or perhaps maybe this is a retreat topic of discussion too, but maybe it's just a summary of that on some periodic basis that would just help us better understand kind of the arc of work throughout the year.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Please call a roll.
Wendell,
Aye.
Bacon, Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Corbett,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Okay, the contract's approved, and thanks, Steve, for all you do. And it's been a tough year, I know. So now turn it over to the city manager for a COVID-19 update.
Thanks, Mayor, City Council members. Jake or Bonnie, if you could advance the slide, I appreciate it. Thank you. Hospitalizations and rate of positivity are heading in the right direction when realized through this graph here before us. But I am told that the end of this week and early next week will be a good indicator of what the results from Thanksgiving travel will be. So we're optimistic. We hope that the trend will continue downward. But I will note where we have been here over the last 2 weeks. Brookings currently does have 447 active cases. Currently, there are 2 using COVID beds and 0 in the ICU Brookings Hospital, which is great to see. Just a few weeks ago, we had a number of people in the Brookings Hospital, but also a number of people in the ICU as well. So it's great to see these numbers as low as they are. Deaths due to COVID in Brookings have increased from 16 now to 20. There have been 2,620 positive cases. Approximately 2,153 cases have recovered. Within Brookings County, 9,079 tests have occurred, and the 7-day test of positivity among people tested is 37, and that number for South Dakota is 49. Brookings County is still in substantial spread. As a state of South Dakota, we do have 16,783 active cases, and there are 491 currently hospitalized. The state has lost 1,111 South Dakotans, and the loss, which is a loss of 290 lives since this last report just a few weeks ago. The mask mandate for all indoor businesses and public places is still in effect until the end of December. Next Tuesday, the final reading will occur to extend the ordinance. Can you advance the slide? Thank you. One more, if you could, Jake. Thank you. When Brookings is compared to the top 10 cities based on population in South Dakota, we're still ranked number 1 as the lowest rate of cases in the state. We also hold the lowest rate of deaths in the state of the top 10 populated states, or populated cities. The chart shows that Mitchell's community has embraced the mask mandate and realized a quick response when looking at this data. Jake, if you can hit it one more time, thank you. The final slide does show the impact of this policy since November here in Brookings and other policies across the top 10 most populated cities in South Dakota. At the next meeting, as I mentioned earlier, we will have information from our community educational and health providers and partners here in Brookings for our council and public update of existing impacts. One final note, next week, December 16th, the community is challenged to fill the Brookings Hospital inpatient care waiting room with paper hearts like these to show appreciation for healthcare workers as part of the Love for Healthcare Workers in Brookings Community Challenge. The community is challenged to write a message on the back of these hearts. People interested in participating can pick up a heart here at the City County Building in our administrative office, or they can simply cut one out, write a message, and then drop it off at a special mailbox outside of the Brookings Healthcare System on 22nd Avenue. And I'd be remiss because I'm sure our public information would like to tell everyone, make sure and join the event on Facebook, as it's an online event as well. This is just one more way we can show appreciation to our healthcare workers beyond wearing our masks, social distancing, practicing good hygiene. Two other things I would like to note that was brought up tonight. We do still have masks available for businesses here in Brookings. So if businesses do need masks, please stop by the City County Building. You can go online. There's a request form. We also have other marketing material that we'll print out for you. So encourage businesses to continue to utilize that. We did use some of our COVID funds to purchase those masks. There was a question on the fees. If a fine was given, those fees are located in our fee schedule. The City Council updated that here just about a month ago, and it's located on our website. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I believe Leah has a question.
Yes, thank you, City Manager. One of the reasons why I asked for these updates to be held regularly at the meetings is I think citizens will be interested to know kind of how our enforcement arc works with the mask mandate too. So curious, what's the rate of calls that we're getting to the police and other entities for reporting noncompliance on masks, and how many fines have we levied so far?
I'm not aware of any fines yet. I do know that we are still actively going out and educating people, if you will. A lot of people are utilizing the Engage Brookings. Give a little plug real quick. Download the app via whatever service you have. You can remain anonymous if you wish. The app does tell us the location where we need to address the situation. But I would say we're still getting about 3 or 4 a week.
Are we getting any anonymous reports of a problem where there isn't actually a problem?
Not that I'm aware of. Usually, by the time they get there, there's a little bit of education that the police department does, and then by the time they leave, the problem is resolved.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, looking ahead to next week, we'll have a 5 p.m. executive session. We'll speak to city manager evaluation and compensation. 6 o'clock meeting, some appointments, especially to the Disabilities Committee, the Humane Society agreement. Then we'll have a second reading on the ordinance that city manager presented tonight. We'll introduce the new Brookings Municipal Liquor Store manager, Mr. Held. Then we'll vote on the city manager contract agreement, some rezoning on River Ridge Addition, conditional use for major home occupancy, and then discuss some inter-fund loan from general fund to Bob Sheldon project. Anything that's not on the agenda, like in the future? Okay, at this time, council, we'll be going into executive session pursuant to and I should mention too, the media, there'll be no action taken when we come out, okay? Pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, for discussing the qualifications, competence, performance, character, or fitness of any public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee. The term employee, what?
The subsection, I think, would be subsection 5, I believe, plus subsection 3, not the personnel section.
Okay, thank you. Can we duly note that? All right. So the term employee does not include any independent contractor, and for consulting with legal counsel or reviewing communication from legal counsel about proposed or pending litigation or contractual matters. Council entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're in executive session.